Top of the morning to you folks. Today we've got something special. A tale of trade, adventure, and opportunity brought to you by the East India Trading Company. General Washington, thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. As we reflect on the Revolutionary War and the events leading up to it, what would you say fueled the growing sense of patriotism among the American colonists?
Thank you very much for having me. The seeds of patriotism were sown long before the Revolutionary War began. It was a combination of factors: the spirit of independence, a desire for self-governance, and a growing sense of unity among the colonies.
Indeed, those sentiments seem to have resonated deeply with the people. Can you share some key events or moments that you believe galvanized support for the cause of independence?
Certainly. The Stamp Act of 1765, the Boston Massacre in 1770, and the Boston Tea Party, which is my personal favorite, in 1773, were pivotal moments that ignited the flames of rebellion. Each of these events served as a catalyst, rallying the colonies behind the idea of breaking free from the British tyranny.
The road to independence was undoubtedly fraught with challenges and sacrifices. How did you and your fellow patriots navigate these difficult times?
It was a trying time, to be sure, but our resolve never wavered. Through perseverance, resilience, and unwavering faith in the cause of liberty, we pressed forward. The support of the people, their unwavering patriotism, fueled our determination to secure freedom for future generations.
As we look back on these tumultuous years, what lessons do you believe we can glean for the struggle for independence?
The fight for freedom is never really easy, but it's always worth it. It requires courage, sacrifice, and a steadfast commitment to the principles of liberty and justice for all. The Revolutionary War taught us that when people unite in pursuit of a common goal, there is no obstacle that cannot be overcome.
Thank you very much for your time, George Washington.
I appreciate you having me.
Your Majesty, thank you for joining us today. There's been much talk about the recent passage of the Intolerable Acts in the American colonies. Can you shed some light on the reasoning behind these measures?
Indeed. The situation in the colonies has become quite tumultuous. The Intolerable Acts were enacted as a response to the escalating unrest in Boston following the Boston Tea Party. It was imperative to restore order and assert British authority in the colonies.
Many Americans view these acts as harsh and unjust. How do you respond to their grievances?
I understand their concerns, but let me be clear. The actions taken were necessary to uphold the rule of law and protect British interests in the colonies. The British Crown cannot tolerate acts of rebellion and defiance against its authority.
Some argue that these acts will only further alienate the colonists and fuel the flames of rebellion. How do you plan to address the growing discontent in America?
Rest assured, we are committed to the finding of peaceful revolution to tensions in the colonies. However, let there be no mistake, we will not tolerate insurrection or defiance of British rule. The colonies must abide by the laws set forth by the Crown.
Thank you very much, Your Majesty, for sharing your perspective on this matter. It's clear that the road ahead will require careful navigation and diplomacy on both sides. Hey everybody, welcome to the Tea Time Podcast. We're here today with King George III.
Hello, Governor.
And George Washington.
Hello, George. How are you doing on this fine evening?
Oh, you're curious, George, aren't you?
Why do you do these things?
Well, let's get interview. We gotta keep the...
Oh, keep going.
What's viewer retention?
What's viewer retention, guys?
So, the audience wants to know, Washington, what was your reasoning for revolting from the British Empire?
So, we here in the United States became fed up with Great Britain's ludicrous tax demands and increasingly overreaching authority over our colonists.
Well, we had only ratified those demands to repay our war debt.
Lol, bozo. Shouldn't have gotten nine behind into war.
It's LOL, shut up.
Okay, let's get into the actual interview. Stop fighting each other. So, George Washington, how would you say that you feel about no taxation without representation?
I personally think that it's a fair system that promotes democracy throughout the nation.
And what about you, King George?
I hate it. It discourages the Cornish from giving me extra money to repay our war debt from France.
Well, that's interesting. But it seems the colonists think that it's unfair to make them repay the debt that you spent on the war. And you seem to think that you have the power to tax those unwilling to pay them. That's not very ethical, is it? What do you think about that, George Washington?
I adamantly disagree with the notion that King George should have power over us, because we shouldn't be responsible for paying back a debt for a war that we never even wanted.
This is a very controversial topic, I can tell. Let's change the subject. Washington, how did you feel about the Quartering Act?
Well, as you know, we protested that law until it was repealed because it was an unjust encroachment on our civil freedoms. It was very obvious that the king should have built his own housing for his troops instead of putting them in the homes of the very citizens that they were meant to police.
Housing costs money I don't have, you powdered gaboon. Gibbon, I mean. I needed your tax money to fund your country.
It's a good thing that our country is in our hands now.
The hands of a bunch of unqualified, rebellious, corrupt, incompetent, nasty, fiendish, sniveling, pungent.
Hey, I will have you know that we are none of those things. We are proud and free Americans. Besides, we would have sent the Declaration of Independence sooner, but the Stamp Act kept us from doing so.
All right, calm down. Let's act like the distinguished men that we are. All right, Georges, that was some really good insight into the controversy of these policies and politics. It looks like that's all the time we have today. George, you were great, and so were you, George.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fellow citizens, in these modern times, we strive for efficiency and elegance. Behold the ridge wall, a marvel of craftsmanship and ingenuity, crafted with the finest of materials, and embodies the spirit of our nation's founding principles, which are durability, practicality, and innovation. With its compact design and RFID blocking technology, I don't know what that is, your essentials are secure wherever you may roam. Bid farewell to bulky wallets of yore and embrace the simplicity of the Ridge. Join me in the pursuit of excellence by visiting ridgewallet.com and secure your piece of history today. Ridge Wallet, where tradition meets modernity.
My loyal subjects, I bring you tidings of a wondrous game that will transport you to a world of epic battles and unyielding conquest. Behold, Raid Shadow Legends, a game of strategy and skill that will test your mental and leave you breathless with excitement. Gather your allies and command them in battle against fearsome foes, harnessing the power of legendary champions and mastering the art of combat. With stunning graphics and immersive gameplay, Raid Shadow Legends would captivate you for hours on end. So I urge you, my dear subjects, to heed my words and embark on this grand adventure. Download Raid Shadow Legends today and prove yourself as a true warrior of the realm. Victory awaits.